and you do it for me. You could have told me something. I really needed truth. My niggas told me that you wasn't shit. I needed proof, but out of pain come pleasure. That's why I needed you. That's why I needed you.
Peace, family. What's going down? What's happening? It is the Hood Mystic, representing www.hoodmystic.com. Just want to thank everybody for joining me. First things first, just wanted to get this video out the way because after this video, I'm jumping on patreon.com/the Hood Mystic and begin our moon sign readings. I'm going to do something different this month as far as the readings that I'll be offering. So if you're a Patreon member, stay on the lookout for that after this video. If you are not a Patreon member, be sure to go over to patreon.com/the Hood Mystic. Each tier has particular things that you get with it, and you also support me and my content, and it's a win-win. You get monthly moon sign readings, and I'm just available throughout the month to pull a card, for conversation. Just Patreon family. Also, another thing that we do is Slack. You must download the Slack application or have like a desktop computer, but have access to the Slack world. Let me know you're in the Slack world and I'll send you an invite to our group. That's another place where we conversate, we ask questions. There's other people in the group, so you could talk to other people. Just might figure out who lives in your city, just ask questions, and it's just starting, so it's not big and popping, but that's why we need you. That's why we need you to join the Slack family, so you could be the one that get this thing popping off. So the goal with my channel and my platform is to bring people together and for people to, begin to express themselves consciously or however they want to express themselves. But to get to a certain level, I'm realizing that there's things that I gotta do. There's things that I gotta speak to. There's things that I gotta really, 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 really explain. And maybe you don't need this message. Maybe this message doesn't resonate you. Maybe it's my cadence. Maybe it's the way I look. Maybe it's my presentation. A whole slew of things that'll make you question what I'm presenting to you. But the reality that I would ask is, when you're in school or when you're in different places, churches, work, and people tell you to do things and you see a group of people doing things and you begin to want to do it, do you ask those same questions? Do you ask for sources? Do you ask for, is there a book where I can read this at? Or are you, blinded by power, blinded by glory, blinded by personal success, that the concept of alchemy, the concept of chemistry, the concept of rebirthing yourself is not something that you want to do? So let me digress a little bit. I'm going to put out 4 videos in the realms of the alchemical phase, psychological alchemy. And there is no wiggle room in what I'm saying, because the wiggle room will have you in a space where you're not doing shit. So as deliberate as I'm trying to be, I still don't need you to go out and buy anything. I still don't need you to look at things and, see who, like, compare information or anything like that. It's something that is very much matter of fact, but it's also esoteric and metaphysical. And it's hard for those two things to be in the same space. That's why you have to actually act on it. Like, alchemy is much like sex or driving a car. You never driven a car before. There's no real experience that you can have other than getting in the car and hitting the road. You never had sex before. I can't explain it to you unless you actually are experiencing it. Alchemy is the same way. The reason that I think that alchemy is not really expressed or talked about in such a way is because nobody wants to rebirth themselves. Nobody wants to die to the old self. Everybody wants to keep the old self and accentuate it, enhance it, make the old self better. So when it comes to the alchemical fire of burning everything and coming into a new sense of self, nobody wants to talk about that shit. Because once you talk about alchemy and you begin to talk about diving deep into this shit and letting go of emotions, letting go of attachments, can't do that, hood mystic. Like, can I get some money? Can I get love? Can I deal with everything that'll make my life better? Because once it comes to alchemy and letting things go, turning lead into gold, and really accentuating yourself and really connecting to yourself, that's very different. And so what I plan to do with this video is simply show you how alchemy is hidden in plain sight and how we could instantly begin to alchemize ourselves and really pull from a well-known story that we all could, gather around the campfire and discuss. And instead of looking at it in a way that we have been previously looking at it, we can now look at it in an alchemical way. And hopefully, as we understand alchemy and we fully get it, we understand the elements, we understand the purpose of the elements, we understand what we are doing fully, then everything will start to make sense and we'll understand why and what we are doing, as opposed to just wishing that we get some money, wishing that we fall in love, wishing that we get a better job, wishing all the goddamn time, and then looking for specific psychics, readers, knowers, expressors, YouTube personalities that's gonna help me get to my dreams. That conversation is dead for the moment, because we're in spaces and times of understanding. And the same way as a farm is a particular time where you bring out the tractor or whatever the thing is that just mows down all the corn stalks that are been already picked, we have to clear the farm. So in order to clear the farm, you have to get rid of everything that's dead. I be watching the Ozarks, and like episode 9, Jacob, they got a farm and they be growing drugs on there, and the feds was about to raid it, and Jacob, he burnt his poppy farm down. And then when the feds come, they like, why you burning the farm down before we raid it? You trying to hide something from us? And Jacob's like, we do this every year. If you farmed, you would know. He was really trying to hide some shit, but then at a certain level, you like, well, you do have to burn the farm, because that's a natural part of whatever. So, and another thing that ties into this conversation, at that particular point, when they burnt the farm down, the feds was actually able to find all the bodies that they was hiding. And if we're to study alchemy, and if we're to study the word God, and you can leave it in the normal English definition, but if we were to understand history and trace it through linguistics and language, both of those words get down to a root word, gu. And gu, Gheu, is a Proto-Indian word. And it means to be poured. It means to pour, to offer a libation. And even in some schools, it would get down to a burial mound. So that's why I said it's ironic that when they burnt the farm down, the feds was able to find the bodies, because then if you think about alchemy and God, like you can think about it in all different types of abstract ways. What is God? Who is God? God looks like this, and God is a man, and you know, all of this. We made God in our image, or God made us in our image, or whatever the fuck, right? Whatever. But if you want to get down to the get down, and you want to look all over the world, and you want to deal with aboriginal indigenous thinking and the ancient mind, whether you're in Ireland, whether you're in Egypt, whether you're in America, you're dealing with burial mounds, period. And whether they were actually burial mounds, whether they were caves, whether they were tunnels, that remains to be seen, because 99.999% of the truth is being covered over. And the things that we're talking about, poppycock, you know, lies, you know, lies on top of lies on top of lies on top of lies. So when we get to the truth, it's like, what is the truth? You wouldn't never really find the truth until you burn the shit that was, you know, the lies. You got to burn the lies to get to the truth. Like, you wouldn't necessarily be reading all of these books and studying all of this shit and building a cachet of all of this knowledge, right? Never really fully examining it, never really fully, you know, just adding it. You know, I'm a master at that. I'm a doctor at this. I'm a proficient at that. I'm a technician at that. You understand it? Well, is it offering you any value in this moment right now? No, because I'm sad. Well, alchemy is, I'm a doctor at this. I'm a master at this. I'm proficient at this. All right, all of this shit that I'm good at. See that barrel over there with that fire? I'm gonna throw all of the shit that I love about myself in that fire. It is a, if you really get into like Native American tradition and sweat lodges, or Egyptian mystery schools and things of that nature, where they do what is called the funerary rites or the death rites, and Native American culture is called vision quest. And the sweat lodges is like literally trying to push you to your brink where you feel like you are gonna die, because once you get to that level, that threshold of, damn, I could have died, or damn, I almost died but I didn't, your perspective on the thing, like, you ever heard that shit, like, my life flashed before my eyes? Like, that's like, oh, all of this dumb shit that I've done, now I'm here on this cliff dangling over and I'm about to die. Like, what was my life? You know, you really start to figure out, like, what is my life? Or if somebody close to you passed away, like, they're no longer here, then by default you start to think like, what the fuck is this shit? Because I thought it was one thing, and then they passed away. Now I'm left here to figure this thing out, and I could continue to build myself up the way I know how, get accreditations, accolades, people pat me on the back, people pat me on the ass, tell me how great I am. Or I can alchemize myself. And you might say, why do I need to? You know, and I had so many notes that I don't even think that I'm really touching on them. But I do want to say, like, as part of my from a part of my notes, why am I talking about this? Like, why is this conversation so, like you would never hear nobody talking about this, and then you hear me talking about it, and it's like, well, who the fuck is this nigga? Like, how does he know this? And, you know, why are you even coming at me like this, Hood Mystic? You need to stick to astrology, bro. And it's like, okay, cool, I get you, but I've actually been through this alchemical process my whole life. You know, if you do any research on Hephaestus or Vulcan, you will see that their festival date is August 23rd. That's actually my birthday. And I've actually worked with steel and fire for long periods of time. So I went to, let me think, let me get my dates correct. So I get out of prison 2006, and out of prison I go to Canton, Ohio. And in Canton, Ohio, I was looking for a job, and I found a job as a steel cleaner. I cleaned steel for a living. Did that for about a year. And I was like, I want to change the scenery because Canton, Ohio is too small. I had a lot of triggers and I felt like I was going to go to prison again. So I was like, I moved to Boston, Massachusetts to go live with my mom. So this is about 2007. So from 2007 to 2011, I worked at a place called Fibertech. Now, Fibertech is like this small enclosed building with two, like 700, like 700, that don't even sound right, but it's like more than 700, like maybe 1,000, like I don't know the degrees, but it was a literal oven. The interesting thing about this job was that I fucking loved it. Like, I loved it in a weird way. Like it was weird because it was so hot that I would have to go to work and have 3 shirts, and each break I would have to change my shirt because my shirt was just that wet. And it was like a lot of things going on. The temperature is over 100 degrees all the time, but you got to move fast. So it's like very athletic and it's very hard. It's very demanding. You got to drink a lot of water, got to stay hydrated because you just sweating profusely. And man, I can't think of nothing better than that. Where it's just me, and I'm really putting all of this together. Long story short, I got laid off from that job, and I moved back to Ohio. Long story short, fast forward to now. And doing this research and doing the alchemy and getting rid of Kyrie and understanding who I am and really understanding my energy, and I could read for hours on days on Vulcan, on Hephaestus, on so many different connections, so many different dreams, that if I was to lay this shit out point for point for point for point for point for point, you would be like, okay, you Hephaestus, my nigga. That's your energy. I get it now. I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to create weapons. You're trying to create tools. And it's all about alchemy. I'll show up. I'll give you a lump of lead. And I'm depending on you, hood mystic. I'm depending on you to forge me a sword, forge me a knife, forge me a hammer, and that's kind of my responsibility. And projecting my life into the future and the psychology and the alchemy and the work that I need to do. I get it. I know what I need to do. I'm already there, and this is my alchemy. So outside of me just simply reading some shit from a book, alchemy means that, and Carl Jung said that, and you got to really understand the fucking difference, man. I can read from a book and I can explain some shit from a book with the best of them, but that don't really mean shit. What I'm trying to express to you is spirituality, psychology manifested. Everything that I am, a black sheep, mental health, trauma, healing, lonerism, being misunderstood, being disliked, all qualities of Hephaestus that I embody, that I live with every single day. Being lame, being deformed, not, all of this shit that I have to kind of factor in and still find my godhood in it. And other motherfuckers is gonna say No, you can't be lame, deformed, and suffer mental health and be a loner and constantly be thinking about other people and helping other people. You can't do that. You got to work out. You got to be healthy. You got to be sexy. You got to make a lot of money. You got to have a nice house, and then everything is cool for you. And that's a mythology, and that's valid, and that's right for some people. I'm bringing the conversation to the people who need the alchemy to get rid of all of the ego shit and get tapped into the God or the mythology level of yourself. I'm tapped into the mythological level of myself. I know my path through my mythology. I don't get here on here and talk to y'all about how Kyrie's day was doing. Because Kyrie, he go to work. You know, Kyrie got children. Kyrie really live a boring, regular, mundane life. When I get on YouTube and I talk certain levels, I'm pulling from my God level. I'm pulling from my alchemy. I'm pulling from my work. And whew. So my wife, this whole conversation actually came from my wife. My wife decided on last Saturday, Saturn's day, that she was gonna do chakra work and really do it, like in the morning, and really do it. We did the same thing last year. I think that was more or less me leading the charge and my wife kind of taking notes and kind of seeing how the thing is. So when she decided to take on chakra work on her own, she knew, like, I can't just talk about it for one day and then be done with it. Oh, I did my chakra work, y'all. Hey, you know, I shared a meme. You know, she was going to be like, I'm going to be deliberate about it. I'm going to take it 7 days for each chakra. And so that's one correspondence. Then on the Slack, I'm talking to Shireen, and Shireen sent me this picture. And this picture is exactly what my wife is experiencing, the root chakra. And we're talking about alchemy, and like my wife's like going through videos and she's like, you know, alchemy is interesting, but you need to put out another video. You need to explain it better. And I'm like, okay. So that was probably on Monday, and today, here we are. Also, what ties into the alchemy and what makes this conversation something that a lot of people can resonate with and pull from is the fact that Saturn and Pluto are both retrograde, and Saturn and Pluto historically, which could be argued, but in my mind, they control the root chakra. So chakra work, alchemy, coming into a new understanding of yourself is all that we're talking about. And man, the purpose of this conversation is not to confuse you on alchemy. The purpose of this conversation is to explain it and give you some clarity. But give me one moment. So before we get into this, before we discuss the Negredo, before we discuss alchemy and all of that, let's first like do the what, why, how, where, when, all of that shit. Like, so we don't even be confused. Like, what are we talking about? We're talking about alchemy, psychological alchemy. We don't have to, you know, get a furnace and a foundry and get some hammers and start really turning lead into gold. Don't nobody got time for that. We're using lead as a representation of ourself, of our physical lives, whether we value it, whether we hate it. It just is what it is. It is lead. It is heavy. If you can touch it, if you can feel it, it represents lead. And we're trying to take that lead and turn it into gold. Why? Because we want to rebirth to a new sense of self. How are we going to do that? Well, why? A rebirth to a new sense of self. Maybe you don't want to rebirth into a new sense of self. Maybe you're perfectly fine being Shanika Jenkins that grew up on 38th Street, that's going to get married, have 2 children. Her 2 children are going to go to college. They're going to take care of her till she get into an old folks home, and she eventually going to end up in a hospice when she turned 95 and and then just pass away. You don't need to talk about alchemy if that's the dreams of your life. If you know what the fuck you want to do and you know your goals and everything is copacetic and everything is 1000, you know everything about what you need to do, your purpose, your plan, your life, you don't need to pull on nothing. Everything is, you know who you are, then alchemy is not for you. Why would you want to do alchemy? To rebirth to a new sense of self, to turn lead into gold. Not to replace lead for gold. You are lead now and you will eventually be gold and you'll be a whole different person. Don't worry, I'm gonna explain all of that. How? First and foremost, we're gonna use the element of fire throughout 4 processes of alchemy. And I don't want y'all to go, I mean, you could light a fire, if you a responsible adult, you feel me? Like, you ain't gonna burn the house down and be like, well, Hood Mystic said I gotta do alchemy and light a fire. Like, no, chill. I ain't talking about that fire. I'm talking about the fire that burns in your heart constantly, and everything that you feel, everything you experience, you can begin to move it to your heart for it to burn away all of the shits, all of the good shit, bad shit, just bring it to your heart and burn that shit. That's how. Or however you're moved. You could write everything that saddened you. You can write everything that you're attached to, everything, and physically burn it. That could be your alchemy. However you are moved is how you should do alchemy. Where? Well, alchemy takes place in 2 spaces. Alchemy needs to be done in your mind, and alchemy needs to be done in your soul. Now, you could take it a step further and alchemize your body by fasting. I've been seeing like water fast a lot on the internet. Sounds like a good idea. Whatever you can do to take the work a step further to make it realer to you, do it. If you want to do half-ass alchemy, have half-ass results, but you need to understand why you are doing this every step of the way, or you're going to get confused, you're going to get lost, and you're going to be like, oh, Hood Mystic, I don't get it. No, I'm burning everything so I can get to a rebirth of the new self. So we have to understand why we need to burn everything. And people would say, the Bible is full of lies and don't read the Bible and blah, 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 blah. And they may be 100% right, and I may be 100% invalid for speaking of this, but in studying alchemy and opening the Bible and reading this, man, this shit just looked like an alchemical formula to me. Like, it don't look like nothing else but an alchemical formula. And in the beginning, God, right? I'm gonna just break this down point for point and understand how it looks like to me. And you could be thinking like, in the beginning, a big man came down and created the heavens and then created the earth. And then the earth was formless. So he started putting trees and oceans and shit. Like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Or it could be an alchemical formula for the individual. Because if you look in the book and you go to the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 28, it says, our God is an all-consuming fire. So in the beginning, the all-consuming fire created the heavens and the earth. Now, heavens and the earth are... If God created the heavens and the earth, that just means that I now have to deride God because he's this creator that created the world that I live in, and now I should worship him and pray to him. But what if the heavens and the earth was a code word for earth being the body and heavens being the soul? So in the beginning, the all-consuming fire created your soul and your body. I'm just saying, what if? And in order for, at the beginning, the body or the baby, right, create the baby is formless and empty. And another thing that the baby is deeply connected to source. He's so connected to source that he can't even really talk. You know, he can't even really fully adjust to this world. He be crying, and you know, it don't really fully fit because at the beginning he's formless and empty. And what we tend to do as parents is fill him with bullshit. Things that we know, things that we learn, things that we believe, and we feed the baby and create the baby in our image, right? Real powerful shit if we really think about it. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the spirit of God was hovering over the waters. So it's literally breaking down the layers of the self. And over darkness, even the concordance speaks to darkness as specifically being misery, death. You could look up the concordance of the word yourself, but it's not even talking about cut off all the lights and it's dark. No, it's literally talking about misery. It's literally talking about death, rejection, negativeness over the surface of the deep. Deep meaning your emotions or your water. So if misery, death, darkness, and all things that we consider bad are on top of our emotions, then we can't even get to the spirit of God. And God, the concordance doesn't speak about one man being God in this instant in the Bible. It actually speaks to a group or a selection of gods. It's called the Elohim. That's the word that's being used here. The spirit of the Elohim was hovering over the waters. So you can't even penetrate your emotions without light, without illumination, because before that it's just covered by these false ideas, by this darkness, because the earth was formless and empty, and then it began to be inundated with darkness, because human intelligence is darkness. No matter how smart, no matter how beneficial, no matter how good it makes you feel, it is still darkness. Because if I give you something that is of value to you, you're gonna want it again, and if I can't give it to you again, then that creates negative vibrations. So the things that we think on, the things that we add, the things that we are feeling that will make us happy based upon what our mama has taught us is darkness. And after seeing this all-consuming fire states that light needs to happen. And not only does light needs to happen, light has to be separated from darkness. In order to see light from darkness, like you can't, it didn't say, now that things are dark, we can have some light in here too, and we can sit and balance this light in the darkness, and you know, continue to accentuate on top of this darkness. No, it has to separate. God saw that the light was good, and he separated light from darkness. So the all-consuming fire comes into your being, and not only does he see this darkness, or she sees this darkness, or it sees this darkness, it begins to separate the light from the darkness. And this all-consuming fire called the light day and the darkness night. And that ties into the dark night of the soul. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. And that all speaks to Venus, the illuminating principle to this planet. We have a sun, we have a moon, and we have Venus. Okay, period. We have a sun, we have a moon, and we have Venus. Period. End of story. You're not gonna see no 3 brighter stars than those 3. Meaning the stars that really matter and hold weight. You're gonna wake up, you're gonna sleep, but then it's something else that happens upon life and the human experience on life, and that is called illumination, and that's specifically tied into Venus. But we talked about that in a previous video. You should check that out, Venus Explained. So the actual root purpose to this, well, not the root purpose, or the beginning phase, is the phase of Nigredo. In order to get a true sense of who we are, we need to purify our earthly attachments to the world. We also need to purify the emotions that we center on for survival. So in the elements of the first chapter or the first book in the Bible, it gets straight to it. It goes straight to the earth and then straight to the waters. So if we're dealing with the Negredo or we're dealing with alchemy, we're working with 3 elements. We're dealing with fire, earth, and water. What is fire? Fire is what fire does. Fire burns shit. Earth. It needs to burn the earth. It needs to burn our attachments. Emotions. It needs to burn the emotions. Is fire gonna be like, is fire intelligent? Does it think on what it should do, what it should not do? You might really need that. I'm not gonna burn that. You know, it's gonna burn everything. It's an all-consuming. Another word which we talked to in the new moon was, no, it was Jupiter retrograde video, where this all-consuming, devouring fire. And I was trying to, in that video, I was like, you know, this devouring fire, and I don't know what that's about, but I figured out what that's about. Emotions are centered on survival. Wait a second, I missed the major point. I missed the major point in explaining this, because as vast as this shit is and as complicated as this shit is, there's some key points that we cannot forget. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So therefore, in the beginning, we are earth and heaven. In the beginning, we are earth and heaven. In the beginning, we are earth and heaven. What happens is that life only teaches you about the earth part. You are Shanika. You are Shanika. You are Shanika. Shanika don't do that. Shanika don't do this. Hey, Shanika, I know you about to get it popping tonight. You know, Shanika, 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 Shanika. Well, in the beginning, God created heavens and the earth. So what is alchemy doing? God is bringing the earth and the heaven together, period. God is bringing your body and your soul together, period. How are you going to do that? By burning everything that you think is important, because you can't get to heavens with this lead. You can't get there. You can't do it. You can read on shit. You can go get the readings. You can go to the psychics. You could do everything that you need to do that you think that's going to work. Come back to this video when you're ready to burn that shit. It's nothing else. And doing this and talking to this with my wife, she sent me the message yesterday. It feels like if I'm not talking about this or I'm not expressing this, then what am I actually expressing? I said, I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know anymore. If we're not down to get rid of everything and get to our true sense of self and begin to operate from that level, then it's gonna be weird. If we're gonna come through this bitch with attachments, I'm attached to this, I'm attached to that, then it's gonna be weird. But if we purify ourselves from those emotions that center on survival and purify ourselves from our emotional attachments to the world, then you're able to deal with your spiritual self. And it's like, well, hood mystic, what about, I don't know. What I'm telling you is that you don't need to worry about that shit. You need to worry about unifying your earth to heaven, period. Period. If you're not in tune and not like, well, it's vague and I got a higher self and, you know, but I just go to work and I'm gonna get there one day and be patient with me. And where the goddamn blowtorch? Y'all seen the blowtorch? Like, where the lighter at? We need to, you know, everything that we hold of value, we need to be free from. Is it bad or good? It's not bad nor good. What it is the fact that we are lacking a clear sense of who we are. And until we get that clear sense of who we are, every value system and judgment call that we make is invalid. You don't know who you are. You haven't mythologized yourself yet. You too inundated by this stupid ass relationship. Like, come on, man. Don't talk to me about your living soul and then tell me about some crusty ass nigga that you done chose to have a relationship with, and now you can't get into your spiritual work because of him. Because you got a spiritual soul tie and he your soulmate and the sex is so good and the shit is corny at this point. It's real corny how us as a people can bring up Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Noble Drew Ali at a moment's notice to explain some fuck shit. But when it comes to dealing with ourselves on a cosmic level, and not only dealing with ourselves on a cosmic level, expressing that, and I dare a nigga to challenge me on who I am cosmically. If I'm not Hephaestus and I'm not Vulcan, then it's gotta be a real trick to it. I know who the fuck I am. Like, I know who I am. I've been, spirit has poured on me the realization of who I am. And it took a lot of, y'all don't know what it's like to not deal with y'all family and then take a course towards spirituality and everybody looking at you like you dumb as hell. What the fuck is you talking about? You sound stupid as shit. You want to talk about Pluto and Jupiter and Mars, my nigga? Like, you know, you don't got no money though. Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, all of this shit that you got to deal with and fight with and face with, and then still be in a space because you don't even know who you are. So you gotta, that's literally traumatic. It's like, well, I fucking love y'all and I fucking care about y'all, but this is something that I gotta figure out within my fucking heart, bro. I love you to death, but this pull is stronger than my love for you. And I can't really express that until I figure out what the fuck this pull is about. So there's a lot of people that I haven't said shit to because I'm trying to figure something out. Not in a couple months. And we talking about years. I have cut people off in the search of my fucking truth. And I will cut anybody off at any given moment. I'm a tough person to get along with. I'm a tough person to get to know. Because I won't put you before my path or my purpose. I used to, but I can't do that shit no more. I can't put you in front of my path. I can't. I'm sorry. And I love you. But the alchemical marriage is way more important. The unity between me and my soul and my purpose to know who the fuck I am. That's why I came here. I was gonna live my life, dog. That shit is scary to think. I was gonna live my life chasing pussy, chasing money, getting money. I got powerful friends. I grew up with some of the creme de la creme. I could be linked up with some niggas. You could see it wouldn't be Hood Mystic. It'd be young guys on a boat, taking pictures on Instagram, living my best life. That could be me. I met all types of rich motherfuckers throughout my life that value my technological skills. I could enhance their situations. It's people that y'all like right now that because of me, they in a whole different space in the stratosphere. Cause I done connected them with my plugs and all of that shit. Like, I could be a real good drug dealer right now. But that wasn't me. That wasn't me. What I'm trying to say is that I could be living a life that everybody is looking at like, ooh, that nigga out here doing it. You know what I'm saying? I had to step away from that shit. And that's painful. I mean, people know me, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's people that can vouch for the shit that I'm saying. So it's not like I'm sitting here making shit up. But to step away from everything that you love, friends, you know, people that you really care about, because they simply mundane and they don't have no spirituality connected to them. And it ain't like you judging them, but everything about you is spiritual. Everything about you is cosmic. And everything about that shit you don't know nothing about. You don't know nothing about it. You keep going to school. You keep learning shit from YouTube. You keep listening to these Masonic motherfuckers just continuously to lie and inundate you with gangster shit, happy shit, sad shit, support this shit. You know, this person's doing it. Support this label, support this brand. You know, you don't know which way you fucking going. Burn all of that shit. I just wanted to talk about this card before I ended this video. In the Saturn retrograde video, we spoke on the Ten of Wands and we spoke on how this energy is going to be Saturn and Sagittarius. This retrograde over the next 6 months is going to be in this space. So any level of oppression, any level of slavery, any level of blocks are going to be felt. And you're going to have to figure out what the fuck to do about it. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? To know that, oh, this person is oppressing me. Like, seeing that shit. It's fun to see somebody oppressing you, and it hurts to not say shit about it, but just to notice it. Like, oh shit, I'm in a real fucked up situation right now, and I need to do something about it. So I wanted to kind of speak on to how this card may show up throughout this 6 months and what you may see over this period of time. That's gonna, like, when you see it, you're gonna laugh like you motherfucker, you just going through this Saturn retrograde. It'll be all over. Wait till the end of fall, you know, give it a moment, you know. So once you see people, you know, what you're gonna notice over this 6 months is people gonna really be into doing the spiritual shit now. They gonna really be like, hey man, weren't you burning them candles for the money rituals? And it'd be like hardcore Christians and shit, you know. And he's like, yeah, I've been burning candles. Like, what? Yeah, man. I want to know how I can do that. You know, like, bruh, ain't you a deacon? Yeah, but I really need this money, and these prayers really ain't working, man. Jesus must be on vacation. You know, it's you know, he don't be working. It, like, you know, what's May, spring break, Jesus on spring break, and I need some money quick, you know, and he ain't coming back till Saturday. It's Tuesday. Like, hey, hook a brother up, you know. And you're gonna see that. You also see people who will shadow project. So it's like, where is the hexes is at? Where is the spells, because this motherfucker done me wrong, and I need hot foot powder, and I need black salt, and I need to protect myself from all of these evil people, and all you doing is creating a goddamn prison. Like, you need to be in jail because that bad person that's like doing the bad shit to you is you. So yeah, give her all the hot foot powder, it'd be like, the shit is crazy too, because it'd be like, oh, I seen some shit where this girl's like, yeah, I laid out some hot foot powder and my neighbors left, and I was like, pray, like, that is so good for them. They got away from your ass because alchemy is like, I'm not gonna go in this shit like I'm perfect and everybody the problem. I'm gonna go in this shit like I got some good shit that I'm gonna burn that I really don't want to burn, but I have to. And I'm burning all of the bad shit because I don't got time to separate it. Dilly dally, good, bad, bad, good. Nope, everything must go. Foraging, baby. And another thing that you're gonna realize is if you really about this alchemy life, you'll notice that a lot of people not. So the question would be, as a spiritual person, do you want to continue sharing energy with mundane people? Just a question. So y'all know. See, Jazz, it's like where people will get into a whole bunch of questions as to should I do Kundalini yoga? Should I do breathing techniques? Or what do I gotta do to get to, like, bro, you just gotta have an understanding that your soul and your self is not connected in the alchemical fire, however that expresses to you, whether it's Kundalini yoga, whether it's doing the dragon breath, whether it's actually doing like bonfires and writing things down and burning it. Your alchemical process is in your heart already. That fire that burns within you in your heart is there already. So you don't got to ask questions about whether you should do Kundalini yoga or not. You need to do whatever you do with the alchemical thought that I need to burn all of this shit that is lead so I can get to its purest form, and then I could begin to escalate myself and understand that this is just the Negredo video. The next video is Rubedo, but each video is another level of fire. It's another level of burning that which no longer suits you. You don't need it. And we're going to burn ourselves to the pulsing core. That nothing is left. Like like I said, I used to work and I used to clean metal. And it's like once that metal is like starting to get cleaned, it's like actually white. Like when the fire hits it and it's like burning and it's just like white fire, and that's where we're trying to get to. So this stage is called the blackening, where we letting go. The next stage is called the whitening. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, you got to follow your intuition. Like, you got to follow your intuition, and you got to be very deliberate about what you're doing too. It's like following your intuition is one thing. Like, what's the difference between following your intuition and just doing whatever the fuck you want to do? Well, you can't really tell. But if your intuition is aligned with purpose, like intuition, alchemy, then everything will become in full alignment. You won't be able to escape it because that intuition now is aligned with a purpose. So be deliberate. Know exactly what you're doing. Know that you are trying to get connected with your soul, and know that the only way that you could get connected with your soul is by burning away the things that block you from it. Exactly. Like don't do it for a day or two. Like my wife, I know for a fact what she's gonna do with these chakras. For the next 49 days or so, every day she's gonna come with some chakra information and some chakra work, and that's how we work the chakras. By the time of these 49 days of constantly understanding and taking the steps to understand each chakra and do the alchemy with each chakra, you come to a closer realization to the soul, and that's really the goal. We're tired of being controlled, tired of being stupid, tired of being ignorant, tired of just wanting to live a better life and a happy life. We want to know the truth, and the truth is within us. But we have to burn away all the ignorance. So www.hoodmystic.com, www.altercreations.net, patreon.com / the Hood Mystic is where I will be for the next few hours. So if you want to talk more, hit me up on the Slack. Come get your moon sign reading. Hit me up on the email. I don't know. Just talk to me. If you want to talk, if you don't want to talk, you want to get straight into your alchemy, I got the matchbox. I got the matches for you, baby. We about to get it popping. So I hope this video made sense. Stay tuned for the next video where we talk about Negredo. Got also another video towards the full moon. And you know me, just staying consistent. I appreciate all the support throughout April. I was able to put out a video and put out an article every 3 days. So I'm gonna just continue to, you know, be consistent with not only videos but also articles, because I think that that's what separates me from a lot of different people, is that I'm not just gonna sit here and talk you to death. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is and have the wordplay to go along with it. So if this video interests you and you want to see the actual print up or the actual write up to it, be sure to go over to hoodmystic.com and check that latest alchemy video. And stay tuned for the next Negredo video where we discuss more fire. Peace. Y'all have a good day.